Hey. Hey everyone, this is Dee. Welcome back to another episode of Spiritually Speaking. This is the beautiful Jessica Kirby. She and I have been having some experiences with people talking to us or posting about fear of death. And like we were just talking in our pre-chat, Jess, there's really not a way to kind of ease into this topic. It's one you kind of just have to jump into because it is what it is, right?
Right. Yes, absolutely. Um, well, so we had a comment in the group regarding the fear of death.
Yeah,
Did
well,
you
I
want to read
posted
that
in
and
the
see?
group that, yeah, that we could, that we are going to be having this as one of our upcoming episodes for this Wednesday. So I will read the comment. It says, my fear is I have to go through it alone. I know we come into the world alone, but I have always had my family since birth. It scares me I have to do this without their support. Also, leaving my kids, that is probably the worst part. So,
Yeah.
one of the things I want to say is this is one of the things that we approach with the logical mind because we
Mhm.
are, a lot of our beliefs and fears and uh, other aspects of dealing with death is based on what our society dictates are, what we're taught is
Mhm.
the appropriate way to think about it, look at it, experience it, and what have you. And there, in our American culture, unfortunately, there is a lot of fear around death, and we look at death as the worst thing that could ever happen to you. I
Yeah.
mean, what's worse than dying?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of things that are worse than dying, and we don't look at it that way. The majority of us don't. I mean, there's some of us that, my look on death has been different than that for a very, very long time. So I want to
Mhm.
kind of just, before we get started too much into this, kind of break down her comments. Um,
Okay.
and let me take a look at it again so I don't, so that I'm getting this all correctly. Okay, so the fear is that I have to go through it alone. Okay, so I mean, from the human aspect of things, there are people who have to go through the death process alone from the human side of things. But we all know
Yes.
that or the majority of us know and realize that the human piece of us is simply the body that our soul gets to walk around in while we're here on this planet. So
Yep.
the human self looks at things and analyzes things and is the piece that knows the pain of when
Mhm.
someone crosses over, right?
Yes. Yes.
But our spiritual side doesn't look at it as a loss, but only as a
Mhm.
transition into a different way of being.
Right. Yes. Yep.
Because we are
But,
energy and energy never dies. It never dies.
mhm.
It's like and I was thinking about this analogy the other day because I really want to be able to explain things where they're easily understood by people because this is a deep topic and not everyone is as far along on their spiritual journey. So talking in ways that are easily understood is very beneficial. So I was thinking about
Right.
it as a light bulb that has burned out. So if you can think of
Okay.
death as you are that light bulb that has burned out. So the physical body is not alive anymore, but the spirit of the body, i.e., the electricity, is still there. So
Mhm.
if you take that spent light bulb out and you put in a new one, or you stick your finger in there, there's going to be electrical current that's still available. So that is the
Mhm.
spirit. That spirit is still there, even though the light bulb, the body, is no
Mhm.
longer living. Right. So
Right.
do you think that's a good way to explain it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah.
So
Um, the dying, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the dying alone, I get that. And I think a lot of that fear has been brought on for some people, not everyone, by COVID. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
how many people died alone, FaceTiming their family, or not even that?
Mhm.
I mean, that's just it was horrible,
Yeah.
absolutely horrible. And I think maybe that has brought a lot of fear to some people. Um, as far as, the fear of dying alone. I don't know if that's this person's, case, but
Yeah.
yeah, that
So, but that again
I had
is
a
the
family
physical
member.
side of things. And, that's,
Exactly.
we work in the physical world. So our minds try to
Mhm.
be logical about these things. And if you're explaining it from just the physical perspective and that's it, then yes, that is a concern that a lot of people have. However, there's the whole
Mhm.
spiritual side of things, and
Yes.
there's a whole family for you over there. Even if
Waiting.
they're
Yes.
waiting, they're so excited to be able to welcome you back into this world of spirit and be able to, you know, reteach you the ropes or remind you of the ropes of how things work on that side.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
even if you don't know them, even if you've never met them in your physical life, like say their grandparents that crossed over before you were born, or when you were a very small child and you didn't get to know them, or their great grandparents or aunts or uncles, cousins, people that you've never met in this physical world, you will know them. You
Yes.
will know
Yes.
them in
Mhm.
spirit, because spirit works differently than
Mhm.
physical, physical self here. And
Right.
that's why a lot of times you meet somebody and you feel like you've known them forever, or they seem so familiar to you. And you're like, I know I've
Yeah.
never met them, but maybe your souls met and knew each
Mhm.
other in a different life, or they could be part of your soul cluster. And so it's different. You're not going to experience the transition from your physical body into the spirit world alone. In You're
Right.
not. And also there's
Right.
angels that and your guides that come into play too,
Absolutely.
and will help guide you through that transition
Mhm.
process. So you're never truly alone, ever. Even in
No.
your
No.
physical world, you're not truly alone because spirit is there. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't, not all of us see them, and not all of us see them all the time, but they
Mhm.
are there.
Right.
That doesn't mean they're not there. So
Yep.
you're not alone, ever.
No, never alone. Yeah, they're there to help you make that transition and crossover.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You hear a lot of when I worked in hospice, some patients who were very close to crossing over started to see their loved ones who had
Yeah.
already passed at the foot of their bed. And, they're like, what is going on? How can this be? And they're just waiting, they're going to help you cross over. It
Yeah.
was, it's a beautiful thing. But hard for the logical mind to think it's beautiful. You know what I
Yes.
mean? But yeah, it truly is because like you're not alone. You are not
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah. You're not. And I always say it's the human part of us, the humanness of us that it's so hard on, because we're the ones that are still here, and we experience the not having that person around every day for us to kiss and hug and love and do things with and share things with. But um as far as the spirit living on the way it does is so beautiful to me. And I always say, well, now they're having all the fun, you know,
Yes.
after you cross over, you get to have all the fun because there's nothing limited. There's no, no grudges, no pain. I mean, if you have any type of pain here in your physical body, that doesn't exist over there. There's no
Right.
judgment, there's no hatred, there's none of those things. So it's all just love. And there's an awareness, and we talked about this in a previous video because I remember mentioning it, that there's an awareness when you cross over of the things that happened when you were in your
Mm-hmm.
physical body, but there's no judgment or anger or grudge holding
Right, exactly.
in that space anymore. I mean, there's just an acknowledgement that those things happen, but there's nothing negative attached to it. And to me, that is so beautiful. So
Oh,
beautiful.
yes. Comforting to me.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And
Hopefully, people watching will find some comfort in that as well.
yes. And that's why, that's why we do the mediumship thing, because it's so amazing to be able to get those messages and that reassurance from our loved ones after they've crossed over. And again, I've said it before, and y'all probably hear me say it a million more times, and I know you feel the same way, Jess. I am so grateful to be able to have that experience because it has provided me so much comfort and so much peace to be able to know that my family that has crossed over feels the way they do now. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. It truly
Yeah.
is. And
I
we
had
can't talk about these things without Dee getting her Kleenex out. So
one of the things I love about you.
yeah, I had to embrace it at some point. So I just have Kleenex all the time.
There
And
you go.
so, we're not doing it without their support, I guess is what I wanted to say to this also, because she said it scares me that I have to do this without their support. You don't. You don't have to.
Mm-mm.
You're not going to. You are going to have that support when it comes time for you to cross over, and
Yeah.
that is absolute fact. Um,
Yeah, the key is just is getting rid of that logical part and
mhm,
accepting that. Like, that is the key. Like, this is, like you said, this is fact. This is what well, I don't know about you, but this is what others who have crossed over have told me, that there's no ill will, there's love and no
yeah,
grudges. And, they're waiting for you. They will help you. You're not alone. Um, that's, a message that I've had several times
yeah.
when connecting and channeling.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I've listened to a lot of mediums over the years and spoken to some in person, and I have never one single time heard a bad story about someone who has crossed over or the process of crossing over. Not one single time
Mhm.
have I ever heard a bad story about that. I
Yeah.
mean, so, and one of the other things she said, also leaving my kids, that is probably the worst part. And that is the human factor speaking right there.
Yeah.
It is because the human part of us wants to make sure that, of course, our kids, it's a totally different, arena of emotion when we're talking
Oh,
about our
yes,
children,
absolutely.
you know. So,
Yes.
as mothers and fathers, we're good parents. We want to be able to provide for our children and make sure they're safe and nurtured and all of those things. Um, However, the spirit side of it is that we still get to be there for our children. We still are there and we still get to look out for them and help them and watch them grow and all of the things. It's just the physical
Mhm.
piece of it that is missing. And
Yeah.
and it's hard to think that you're going to have a different perspective of it when you cross over, because here you are in your human body going, but, you know,
Right.
but the fact of the matter is that once you cross over, you're not dealing with the limited human brain, and you're going to look at it totally differently, and you're going to see the beauty in it that is,
Mhm.
and know that the other family that's still earthbound is going to be taking care of those kids. So,
Right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and you get to
I mean,
be
I
kind
can
of their
definitely, I
angel.
can, Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can definitely see how that would be worrisome.
Sure.
Used to be a huge fear of mine with my two oldest daughters having a different father than my youngest. That was one of my greatest fears, is something happening to me and them being separated
Right.
by their fathers. But that was just something I had to kind of get over and
Yeah.
look at from a different perspective.
Yes.
And as I have grown spiritually, it gave me a different perspective.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's amazing. And and the thing is, death is not the worst thing, honestly.
No.
And I want to tell this story, and because this was the first time in my entire life that I ever prayed for someone to just cross over. Like, just because when I was in nursing school and we had our clinicals, we went to the
Mhm.
VA, the Veterans Hospital, to do clinicals. And there was a
Mhm.
man there that had been a prisoner of war, and he was tortured in the prison, and
Yeah.
pretty much every bone in his body had been broken in that prison, specifically his hands. You could see where his hands, the knuckles and things in his hands, where they had literally broken this man. And he was stuck in this place in his physical mind of being in that prison.
Oh my gosh.
And he was total
Mm.
care, so he had to be changed and fed and all of the things. And every time you would touch him to change him, he would say, "Please don't hurt me, please don't hurt me, please don't hurt me."
Oh, oh my
And it
gosh.
just was heartbreaking.
Oh my gosh.
And I prayed, "Please just let him cross over, because he's
So that he could have
suffering
some peace.
so much and he would have so much peace if he could just cross
Yes.
over and be in the spirit side of things." So death is not the worst thing, y'all. Death is not the worst thing. We get taught that in our culture, and it's so unfortunate to me, because
Mhm.
to me, there are two very sacred times in our lives, and one is the birth experience,
Mhm.
and one is the death experience. To me, those are just beautifully sacred moments in our lives, and I mean, it's just incredible to me. So,
Yeah.
there's far worse things than death, and we get to, I mean, I have a lot of things that I plan to do before I die. We've talked about this
Yeah.
before. I plan on living a long life. I feel like there's a lot of work for me to do here, but I don't fear death,
Mhm.
because I know how much fun I'm going to get to have. Like, because I won't be limited by my physical body. So I can go do all of the
Right.
things and visit all of the places, and it, you know, so
Yeah.
it's so, and I don't think I've ever really had a fear of death, but it's perplexing to me to think about people having that fear. And I would love to just be able to, do the little genie thing and blink that away for everybody, because we don't have to have that. We don't have to
Mhm.
have that. We can choose to look at it differently, and we can choose to look at it in a way that brings peace to everything. And we can teach our children that, and we can, help other people see it. You can't force someone to see something. You can't force someone to
Right.
change their mind, and you shouldn't want to anyway. But if we can
Mhm.
provide different scenarios for people to think about it, get curious about
Mhm.
it. And, you know, one of the things I've been saying so much lately is to get curious and ask questions like, what if,
Yeah.
if it really was that way? What would that look like? What if I didn't have to feel scared of dying? What if it really could be that beautiful experience? And all
Mhm.
of these beautiful soul family members are going to be there, and angels and guides to just transition me over in this beautiful, peaceful way.
Yeah. I think a lot of the fear is because it's unknown,
Hmm.
what happens after we die to a lot of people. I mean, I'm confident in my knowledge of what happens and, where I'll go and all that as far as crossing over with my loved ones and watching over those who are still here. But I can definitely, and I was there. I was definitely there, fearful
Yeah.
of death and death for my loved ones. Um, but along this journey, like I said, I've accepted that it's not it's not what I thought it was. I feel like
Yeah. And I
just
feel like
from
this
channeling.
might be a good time also for us to revisit your personal experience that you had. You told
Yeah,
about it, I
yeah,
know, in another podcast, but this would be a good time
yeah.
to reiterate it. So if you want to
Yeah,
share
this would
that.
be a great one. Yes, absolutely. So this happened a really long time ago. I would say probably close to 20 years ago. So I didn't know of my abilities then. I had taken um I had taken CNA courses, and when okay, let me think of this timeline. I don't want to mess it up. um okay, so I think my grandfather had previously passed, maybe not quite a year earlier. But anyway, I was taking these CNA courses, and when in clinicals, I was assigned to a woman who had uterine cancer, and she was on hospice. Um, it was it was kind of traumatizing because at 24, 25 years old, maybe 26. Anyway, I had never seen death that up close, or someone on the verge. But anyway, so fast forward about 6 months later, I had this strangest, what I thought was a dream at the time. I kind of woke up on a gurney in a pretty much empty room, but there was a woman across the room on like a low gurney, and she was curled up in like the fetal position, and she was crying, and I got up and I walked over to her, and I kind of tapped her and I said, It's okay, it doesn't hurt anymore." And she stopped and she just kind of looked up at me, and then she got up and walked out the door. And I'm still kind of like, where am I? What is, I I don't know what's going on in this dream. I'm confused. So I go out the door after her and I don't see her anymore, but I look to my right, and there's a long hall with a nurse's station, not too far along down the hall. And I look to the left, and it just kind of goes into darkness, I guess, never ending. But there was a door to my immediate left. And so I came out of the room I was in, took a hard left, walked into that room, and I see my grandpa, who, like I said, had already passed. And I knew it was him by what he was wearing, his stature. I knew it was my grandpa standing with his back to me in front of a magazine rack. And I was like, "Grandpa?" And he turned around, he's like, "Jesse," like looking kind of confused, like, "What are you doing here?" And no sooner than that, this man comes very quickly, almost, I've explained it as like matrix light. I don't know how else to explain it. Right in between us, in front of us, and he said, "You are not supposed to be here. You have got to get out of here," and pushed me back. And I woke up gasping for breath, like I didn't have any air in my lungs at all. And now I believe that that was a near death experience. I think that I stopped breathing in my sleep,
Yeah.
but I had no clue. I woke up on the other side, but I was sent back because it was not my time.
But you had no fear.
So
Weren't quite sure where you
no,
were at first, but you
I
had
was a
no
little
fear.
confused.
Yeah.
No fear at all. I was a little confused, like, where am I? Am I in a dream? Like I just was very confused as to where I was. But and I saw my grandpa, and the room he was in was like, it reminded me of a waiting room,
Yeah.
like maybe a surgical waiting room for family members. Um, but there was no one else in there. So I don't know if he didn't know I was coming, obviously, but he was there waiting for someone. I don't know who.
Yeah.
But it was just very it was very impactful. It scared the bejesus out of me, honestly, at first, but years later, I can just remember it clear as day. I mean, that's something I will never forget.
Yeah.
So yeah, no fear, just a little confusion, but there my grandpa was waiting for me. So
Amazing.
they'll be there.
Yeah, they'll be
Yeah.
there. And you said it scared the bejesus out of you at first. So why were you afraid? Because you said you didn't feel
Well,
fear there. So what about it made
right when I
you
woke up,
when you woke up?
because yeah, because I was gasping for breath, and
Okay.
I mean, I could not, it could not breathe, and that's what scared me.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was a really weird dream, and it seemed so real.
Yeah.
But, like I said, years later, now I know what that really was.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting that your grandpa was like, "What are you doing here?" I mean, like his
Yeah.
tone,
He was
like
like,
Jess,
Jesse? Yeah.
you're not
He,
supposed to be here.
yeah, I don't know, but it was nice to see him, although it was brief.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure.
Mhm.
It's and that's just it, they're there. They're gonna be, you know,
Mhm.
coming and meeting us and things like that. And you'll have people, because I did a meditation one time. I've talked about Nicky Allen's meditations before. She has this amazing meditation about seeing your loved ones. If you want to, I'll drop it in a link below this video. I will drop the link in the box below this video so you can try this meditation out for yourself or do this meditation for yourself if you would like to. But when I did this particular meditation the first time, it was so incredible to me because I went exactly like she walked you through this amazing journey to heaven. I mean, I guess if you want to call it that, I don't believe in it that in that way, but to this place. And it was like a cabin. It was like there's this cabin in the woods, and I'm sure everyone has a different experience with this because we all have
Mhm.
different perspectives and we all have different things that we love in this life. So I feel like it kind of reflects those things. What feels good to us here is how things are going to
Yeah.
be presented to us there because it feels nice to us. And it was like this cabin, and it was almost like a family reunion. If you think of family reunion dinners that we have here in our
Yeah.
physical world, it was kind of like that. And I saw people in my family that I didn't even think about, like I never
Yeah.
thought to see that particular person because you think of like,
Mhm.
well, my mom, I've had two grandkids cross over and my mom and dad. So those were kind of the people that I was thinking about connecting with while I
Right.
was there. And there was like my cousin was there and my grandma and my grandpa and my other grandpa and like all of these people were there that I wasn't even thinking to connect with. But they were all there was like this big, huge like dinner party type of situation. And then there was one person in specific that I was supposed to see during that journey,
Mhm.
and I was taken to him, and that was my grandpa Smith on my dad's side. And I had this amazing connection with him. So, you know, they're there. I mean, they're
Yeah.
absolutely there. So if you can see them and experience them in a meditation, or they come to you in dreams or stuff like that, and you know, uh, that's just affirmation. And I think it's probably harder for the people who don't feel things or see things, or at least they don't allow themselves to believe the experiences they have. They kind of poo poo them away, explain them away,
Mhm.
that was my eyes just playing tricks on me, or, you know, whatever, like that. They try
Yeah.
to explain it away and don't. I mean, that's what I say. Don't explain it away. It doesn't mean listen, if you're crazy because you see something out of the corner of your eye, then I'm certifiable because I see things full on in front of my face, you know? So
Oh yeah.
and it's not just me. It's not just you, Jess. There are so many people who are in connection with the people who have crossed over on the other side that are in spirit form now. So, I mean, there's a whole planet of batshit crazy people, if that makes you batshit crazy. That's all I'm
Right. Yeah, yeah. And I have since connected with my grandpa a couple times. I remember when my mom bought the house, my mom and my stepdad bought the house that they live in now. My grandpa did not care for it. And funny enough, I mean, he just, he just didn't feel like it was very well built. And they put a lot of money into that house. It's a
Oh,
beautiful house, but they, they've just had to put a lot of repairs into it. So that was kind of funny. It's like, yeah, grandpa doesn't care for this house.
yeah, and grandpa was right,
And my
huh?
grand yeah, well, he was a carpenter, and he did not like the way things were done there. And he was right. He was right. They ended up putting a lot of money into it. So that was it's nice to see him every once in a while.
I can see your aura right now. It looks like a halo around your head like this. That's
You
amazing.
know what? Listen, I think it's my ring light. I swear I think it's the ring light. Let me try to turn it down. I might have it too high or something.
Well, but see, the thing
That
is
would be
that,
very cool. Might be. You still
but see, I
see?
could see it like, yeah, I don't think it's your ring light, Jess. No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, cool. How awesome. See, there I go, trying to explain shit away.
Yeah, that's what we do, trying to
I really
debunk
did
it.
though. I thought it,
I mean,
yeah.
if it's something that's like not moving, but I could see it like move too. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So yeah, that's cool. I'm
that's
starting to be
awesome.
able
I've
to
never
see
seen
that
any.
more.
That is so cool. I've never seen auras. I think that would be so cool.
It's pretty cool. I wish I could see him again as vivid as I saw him when I was a little girl sitting in
Oh,
church.
wow. Gosh.
Still cracks me up.
Oh, man.
It will. It'll come. It'll come. It's amazing.
Yeah. So one of my daughters is obsessed right now with her own mortality. Ever since we had to have Maja, our dog, put to sleep last month, she's really, really had a hard time. And she is obsessing over it. You know, my death, her dad, just basically her immediate family, her sisters, her grandparents, everyone that she's really, really close to, and her own as well. Um, and her being sick right now, bless her heart, it's really kind of eating away at her. And I wish, I tell her all the things that we've talked about so far, and it's really hard to get through when your mind is just so focused on this fear, and it has just completely like consumed her. So that's something we're definitely working on. So I don't know what else to tell her at this point, or anyone else. But that you can't make someone believe. You can't
Oh, you
make
can.
them understand. All we can do is give them the information, and maybe, some examples like we have, and hope that that gives them some comfort and maybe puts them at ease. I
Well,
wish I had like the magical words.
and so one of the things I would like to say too is because if that is such a concern, think about what coloring the life that you're in with this dark color is doing to the relationships and your ability to enjoy the time you do have with your family
Mhm.
and friends, because you get to have that time. And truth of the matter is, the majority of us don't know when we're going to go. We don't know how we're going to go, most of us, and so we should live every day loving that person or those people and spending time with them and showing them how much we love them and doing the happy things together. Because what, so like, say with your daughter, right?
Mhm.
What would happen? How would she feel if, say a month or two down the road, God forbid, something happened to one of y'all and she had spent the previous 2 or 3 months stressing out about this so much that she didn't get to enjoy that time with
Right. And
So
that's what
there's,
she does. She said when she spends time with people, it's in her mind constantly, like this could be the last time I see them. And I feel so bad for her because she's just not able to do that right now. And I hope, just me talking with her and supporting her will hopefully, you know, bring her out of it, I guess.
yeah.
But I
And
mean, she is also getting some other help as well. So
yeah. And I mean, it is hard because it's easy to say, tell your logical mind to shut the fuck up and look at it from
right.
this perspective. But that's not always an easy thing to do. I've
No,
dealt
it's
with
not.
that personally, and so have you, in different situations where you have to shut your logical mind up and I mean, and we say this a lot with intuition, and with
Hmm.
medium readings and intuitive readings and things like that, where we're like, where is this information coming from? And if you try to dissect it, it's going to shut that shit off and you're not going to be able to
Yes.
access it anymore. Because as humans, we like to do what I call bag, tag, and label everything. And we try to make it
Yeah.
fit in this tidy little box so that we can, wrap it up in this little bow and call it this particular thing and make it make sense. Some shit just doesn't make sense. Some stuff just cannot
Mhm.
be explained, and not in a logical way. And we humans, I mean, logic does have its benefits. It
Right.
it does. I mean, we want to stay on the correct side of the road when we're driving, and we want to,
Right.
make sure the water's not too hot when we put our babies in there to give them a bath. So logic does come into play in our lives and we need it. However,
Right.
it's not meant for everything. Some stuff
No.
just is
Mhm.
inexplicable, and we get to enjoy that too
Yeah,
if we allow ourselves.
that's right. And that's the hard part. It really is. It's the hard part. You have to basically deprogram yourself,
Yes.
wipe it clean, reboot.
Yeah. Yeah. Reboot for sure.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy thing to do. It's really hard to let go of those logical beliefs because you have had them for so long, basically, all your life since you've been able to understand what it is.
Yeah. Well, and I think
So,
one of the things too is there are certain words in the English language I would love to erase or at least severely restrict how we can use them. One of those words
mhm,
is broken, because when we use the word broken, when we think of an item that we have is broken, um, we think of it as being beyond repair and no longer of use, right? And I know
right.
all about
Yep.
I think it's the Chinese way of gluing it back together and putting gold in the cracks and everything to make it even more beautiful than it was before. I get that, okay, but that's not what we're talking about. Most people aren't thinking that when they call themselves broken. So I think that
Right.
with this fear of death thing, a lot of people think that, if my mom dies, I'm going to be broken for the rest of my life and I'm never going to be able to be worth anything. I'm not going to be able to do the things that I do. I can't get it. Like, I'm not even going to be able to breathe, because that's
Mhm.
the logical mind. And does it hurt? Fuck yes. Fuck yes. It hurts.
Yes.
there's no way that I'm going to sit here and tell you that because I have this beautiful way of looking at death, that it doesn't still hurt. I've lost
Yeah.
people. I've lost important people in my life. I've lost pets. I have a sick pet right now that I'm facing the loss of if things don't turn around. It hurts, but
Hmm.
it's not the end, y'all. It's not the end. And
It's not.
we do not honor that person's memory and spirit by spiraling ourselves down into the pits of despair and never coming out again.
Right. Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Yep. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, that was a great way to put that. Yeah, that was, I remember, I can kind of relate with what my daughter's going through because I do remember being younger, maybe in my teens, and thinking, what if something happened to to my mom, who I'm very close to, or my dad, that would just, and the mere thought of it would just set me off like, you know?
Yeah,
And but again, I was probably like a teenager, but that to now I know it's not the end.
right.
It's just a different chapter.
Yeah,
And I'll see them again. I will see them again. They'll make themselves known. Um, do I want it to happen? Hell no. But it is a reality. It is a reality. None of us are getting out of this alive.
that's right.
None of us. So I feel like, the best thing we can do is to try to, and it takes a conscious effort,
Mhm.
change our thought process on it.
Yes,
Yes, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt like hell. And we have every right to feel that grief and, take a while, grieve, but don't live there.
yep,
Don't grow roots there,
yeah,
because you will see them again. They will be around you. And I feel like some people, um, they want their loved ones to come, who have crossed over, to come around. They want to see them, but maybe it's their grief that is blocking it,
yeah,
or maybe a fear, like they want it, but they're afraid of it.
yes,
I'm not sure, but just changing that thought process. Okay, it's not the end.
yeah,
I will see them again. So I mean, that's how I get by.
yeah, yeah. And you will, and they pick and choose different ways, and sometimes it may take you a while to figure it out, like it did with my grandma and the smell of raw onion. I mean, that was weird. And then the other day,
Yeah.
I was walking along a trail with a friend that I have walked down many times, and all of a sudden I started
Mhm.
smelling fresh cedar, like cut cedar wood. And
Oh
I said,
yeah.
"Do you smell that?" And she's like, "No, I don't." She didn't smell it. So now I have to figure out who's bringing the smell of cedar, because I'm like, "Okay, who are you then?" Like, because I've just started
Yeah.
asking, who are you? I talk to spirit,
Yeah.
I'm not afraid. This is one of the things I love to do. So tell me who's bringing the
Yep.
smell of cedar. So when I figure that
Mhm.
out, I'll come back and let you know.
Okay.
I don't know who, because I'm like, who do
Give
I
me a
know
little
that did
more here.
woodworking that's on the other side, and I can't think of anyone. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'll get it figured out
Throw
though.
throw a girl a bone here. Give
I
me a
know,
little something else.
right?
Hmm.
Yes, absolutely. So, but yeah, it's not the end. It's not, and I'm definitely would love it if y'all have any questions, any comments, any stories, experiences, if y'all would drop them in the comment section or join our group, Spiritually Speaking Facebook group, and make a post in there, or DM us or email us, or whatever, however you want to get to us, and let us know, because I would love to discuss this stuff, because it's fascinating, and every single question you ask helps everyone who hears this learn. There's no such thing as
Yes.
a stupid question. You know, my
Nope.
Steve and I were talking about that today, and he said there's no stupid questions, but there's people who well, I'm not going to tell you what he said, but anyway, there's no
I can
stupid
imagine.
questions. He's very blunt sometimes.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't sugarcoat anything. He's very sweet, but he doesn't sugarcoat anything when he's talking about stuff like that. But yeah, there's no such thing as a stupid question. And I promise you, if you're thinking it, there are at least 100 other people who are thinking it too, and everyone's afraid to ask. So if someone could just step forward and ask, that helps us all
Mhm.
learn. So
Yes. Yes. And if we don't know, that we have people we can reach out to as
yeah.
well. So we'll figure it out one way or another.
Yes, we will get the information. And because Jessica and I do not profess to know everything, we are operating from a place of genuine authenticity and telling you about our own personal experiences and our own, intuition and mediumship experiences. So we definitely don't know
Mhm.
everything. Run from people who think they know everything. Just run.
Yes. Yes. As quickly as possible.
Yeah, because we're all learning and growing, and it's a fun and magical journey. I mean, I just posted this amazing picture on Facebook in our Facebook group today, and maybe I'll put it on my channel so y'all can see it. It just reminds me, it's this little girl like running down this path with her
I
arms
saw that.
flung wide, and there's like all these like magical colors and like flowers, and
Mhm.
it's just so pretty. And that's how I feel when I'm dealing with spirit. Like it to me, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yay, magic!" Like it's so much fun. I love it so much. I love the learning process. I love the experiences of it, and I love sharing it with everyone. And Jessica and I just get giddy sometimes talking to each other about it because it's so, you know, it's just so fascinating and impressive.
And fun.
Yeah, fun. I freaking love it.
Hmm.
So, anything else
Yeah.
we feel like we missed, we need to touch on just before we close this out today?
Um, I don't I don't think so. I mean, like you said, if anyone has questions, comments, whatever, yes, please let us know. And I mean, if necessary, we could even do a part two on this. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have, just based on personal experience.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for showing up and listening to us. We are so, so grateful for you. We appreciate your presence here. Like I said, we're all learning and growing. So, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. As always, I will drop the link to our Spiritually Speaking Facebook group in the comments, the description box below this video. We'd love to have you join us over there for more in-depth conversations. We always post everything that we're doing there first. So any opportunities that come up, you will have first opportunity to jump in on those. So we'd love to have you. Thank you so much
Yes.
for participating and supporting this beautiful channel. And Jess, I love this.
Oh, I do
And
too.
and I love you guys. Mwah. Thank you all, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.